So everyone's saying yes. Okay. Does it sound better? Does my voice not sound like deep in it? Like as a trans person, I don't want my microphone to do deep. Okay, everyone is saying it's fine. Okay, I'm going to trust you guys. So as I was saying before I kind of spazzed out of it, the reason why I wanted to do this is my channel kind of blew up after the whole Jessica Yaniv thing. Kate went viral. I'd been covering Yaniv and lots of other people for a while, and that video weirdly coincided with one that Blair was doing. I think my one went out just an hour after hers, and from then everything has just kind of gone like huge. I think it was about a year ago, I just hit 1,000 subscribers, and now I'm on around 23 and a half. Like, that's mad. Like, that is huge growth, especially for YouTube the way that it is now. Like, it's so hard to actually launch any kind of channel. Like, YouTube does everything they can to kind of keep you down. So I'm actually like, I'm honestly, I want to thank you all so much for all of your support, really. Like the amount of times that I see such lovely like comments on, you know, whether it's like, oh, if I'm feeling down or just like when I've done a video. I love doing the premieres because it's kind of like I get to hang out with you guys, and I'm sorry if it feels as though I can be a bit distant at times. It's purely because I'm a very forgetful person most of the time. Like I'm not I don't pay as much attention as I should, and like I feel like there's something really special here. Like I honestly, the amount of people in here just saying awesome things like, I want your wallpaper. So I just want to read out some of the comments. So yeah, people found me, seems to be a lot from the Jessica Yaniv video. So got Valdegas saying that they found me through the ContraPoints and Rachel Oates video. That was a video I was really proud of, actually. That was one I really enjoyed doing. And it was a weird one because it felt really slow at the start, but then that one ended up being quite big. And like, I was really quite happy with that. The jerry rigging saying Rose is trans Sargon. Yeah. I've always been compared to like cross between Sargon and Blair. I quite love that. Because some people have referred to me as like a negative thing. And like, I don't see why. Like, they're both YouTubers that I look up to. Like, I think that's great. Let me just read out some more comments. So, Kentucky Mama, you're really awesome. You've opened my mind. You and Blair have shown me that there are normal trans people out there and not the radicals. I love you for your honesty. Oh, thank you so much. Like, this is the kind of thing which I want to be like really showing. One of the reasons why I launched my channel in the first place is because of the amount of like absolute ludicrous, wild trans activists that had completely dominated the conversation to the point where me as an actual trans woman feels neglected by everything which is going on. And when I speak out about, well, actually, I don't think your multi-gendered respect, even moon gender narrative is making a lot of sense, I'm just told to shut up, and I'm referred to as being transphobic. And it's like, well, this is my own bloody community, is it not? Like, I keep being told that I am, that I am trans and that I should be, listen to trans people, but then they don't really listen to me. So let's see what else people are saying. Rose, you're a kind and honest person, and people will respond to that. Oh, thanks, Matthew. Rose, you do much more for acceptance of trans people than hundreds of lefty trans activists ever could. You are awesome. Thank you. Angelica Perez, love you, Rose. I found your Pillars of the Community videos and have watched everything since. Like, the Pillars videos are the ones that I am, like, they are, for me, the things that I really want my channel to be known for. They do require quite a bit of work. I've been working on a Monroe Bergdorf video for the past month or so. I've had a couple of personal issues over the last couple of weeks, so I had to kind of take a bit of a break from it. But I'm definitely on the mend now. And so I'm going to be giving that my full, the undivided attention. I'm aiming to get that out for the end of the month. If not the end of December, then it will certainly be up in December. So that should be, that will be a really good one. Like, it's been fascinating looking into her. Apologies if I miss off anyone's questions. Oh, you're adorable and intelligent and level-headed. Thanks, Marika. Here's a question. Steve Powell. Hey, Rose, in London here. How do you find having opinions and ideologies that put you in the minority? It's weird, but I don't necessarily think it puts me in the minority. What we're seeing is a very loud and vocal group within the trans community, one which doesn't really socialize, one which likes to control everything which kind of goes in and out, one which is very authoritarian. And I think there are a lot of trans people who do think similarly to me. Like, you just need to have a look at some of the comments that I get, some of the other trans people who I've done streams with, whether it's Blair, Sophia, London, like others that I chat to, like Lilith Lovett. There's actually quite a growing number of us. When you look at a lot of trans YouTubers, outside of people like ContraPoints and maybe Cat Black, although I'm not sure exactly how many subscribers she has, a lot of the actual kind of trans activist style channels are not as big as you would think. Like Riley Dennis, who everyone's been talking about for years, only has like 77,000 subscribers last time I checked. Whereas someone like Blair is pushing over 700,000 at this point. Miss London's almost at 100,000. They got people, obviously people like Calvin Garra. Like there's lots of us who are kind of pushing this, and I don't think we are that much of a minority anymore. But we need to recapture the conversation and make sure it's going to something which is intelligent, not being subservient to any other kind of group and just thinking, this is what we actually need. These are the conversations we need to be having. Because a lot of the trans rights have already won. Like, how many rights do I really need that I don't already have? I know I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there, but hopefully that answers your question. So the 42 system, what did you think of DID systems using gender dysphoria to explain the experience of a male alter being in a female body or vice versa, seeing as there is no other language to explain it? What is a DID system and what is an alter? Is that concerning people who believe there are like multiple personalities, like that kind of thing where they become a system? Is that what that refers to? Sorry, I'm not too sure of the terminology there. Charity Rivers, you know what I don't get? How can one be called transphobic for disagreeing with non-binary when non-binary isn't even trans? Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, one would think that we wouldn't be referred to as being the transphobic ones. Instead, it would be the people who push a completely different definition of what we are and then try and get our medical access revoked. Or at least a stupid way of thinking, well, if this is no longer a medical condition, the state will still give us the healthcare anyway. God bless the state. Like, no, you're giving them, and like medical insurance companies, any excuse they can to stop cover. Like, we're in an ironic part where the real fight for trans issues is going to be against the non-binary people, I swear. Just going to pour myself a drink. I got this from Selfridges the other day. It's actually really, really nice. So I'm going to pour, it's a espresso martini. So do that. And then, well, it's got a bit of froth on it. Anyway. Oh, that's lovely. So, oh my God, there's actually quite a lot of comments in here. I really sorry if I miss out anything that you say. I want to try and answer as many things as I possibly can. So let's see. So I got someone saying that they kind of think of me as like, am I seen as a race traitor? Yeah, some of them do, strangely. Okay, so Dark Void is giving me $5. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. So, it's Army Kai. Would you say that community is going to continue being perceived as a problematic one, or do you think more people are becoming more open-minded and understanding that we are not a bad group? I think the way things are going, we're looking at the former. When I do my research for Trans Stupid, when I'm searching online for news involving transgender people, the kind of stories which I'm covering are the ones that are in the headlines. And if it's not those, it's ones where trans people are painted as the victims. It's not very common where it's actually something quite inspirational, where it's like a trans woman has actually gone out of her way to do something and has made a success. Like, one of the few that I can think of is there was a Victoria's Secret model who came out as trans. I think that was who was a trans woman. I think that was a good thing. There was there's been a makeup. I think it might have been Dior. I feel like so stupid for forgetting it. But there was another trans woman who was modeling makeup, beauty products, and looked stunning. There are some good stories out there, but the majority of it are people like Stephanie Hayden, Jessica Yaniv, Rachel McKinnon. They're the ones dominating the headlines. And so we're going to look bad because that's what the public is seeing. They're not seeing any kind of reasonableness. They're seeing people who are demanding that everyone bend the knee. Until that narrative is changed, things will actually start to get worse for trans people. So queer kid stuff needs to go as well. Yep, I agree. So be my best friend, Rose. Miss London drives me bonkers with her hyperactivity and nutty accent. I absolutely love London. London is one of my favorite people that I've met whilst doing YouTube. I just find her absolutely precious, and she's so much fun. I really want to go out. If I ever manage to get out to the States, she's one of the people that I really want to meet. So I'm not going to be criticizing her, I'm afraid. So let's see. Flouncy Mom, prior to watching you and Blair, I couldn't wrap my head around people being trans. No hate at all. I just didn't understand. I feel like I do now. So thanks for that. And thanks for being rational. Thank you for understanding where it is that I'm coming from. I don't want this channel to just be seen as like, oh, I'm a trans woman who is critical of just being trans people. It's why I don't like being seen as gender critical, because that kind of gives off an image that I am against trans people, and I'm not. I am a trans woman, and I'm generally not gender critical myself. I want to be someone that people can look at and think, she's pretty reasonable, she's pretty cool. But so that means a lot, seeing that. So thank you. So Luscious the Lock. I've been putting off transitioning as I felt I really don't fit in with the supposed trans community. I'm glad there are people like yourself with similar views to my own. If provided you've got the correct medical support, that's when you should be transitioning, is when you have the actual support in to support you doing it, because transitioning is difficult. I would advise that you don't get sucked into the trans community though, because that was something which I didn't do when I was transitioning, and I think it saved me a lot. Don't let the crazies put you off transitioning, and don't get sucked into their groups when you do start your transition, if indeed you ever do. That's a bit of advice that I can give you. Get normal friends. Go out of your way to get normal friends. So Matthew C, I think the majority of trans people aren't crazy SJWs, but SJWs represent all trans people, unfortunately. They do. That is a huge problem. So let's see. So Scalade, is Riley Dennis really a trans woman or lesbian? Riley Dennis is indeed a trans woman. Whether she is a lesbian, this is I don't want to get sucked into the whole can trans women be lesbians argument, because it's not really my one to make. I'm not into women. I mean, we put it this way, I consider myself straight. I know the more gender critical side will be like, no, you're a gay man, but it's like, well, no, I'm not. I'm a straight trans woman. Like, is that not a good enough description? I think the lesbian part is more problematic when you get the queer circles where people who like women are actually condemned for refusing to sleep with trans women. And this has happened to a friend of mine within the queer community. So this is something which happens. This isn't a horror story that, it's not like the boogeyman or anything. This is legit. It's a legit problem. She's someone who is like, all genders are valid, all of this. She follows along with so much of that narrative. And then, it's like, even when she's like, actually, I'm not that comfortable with that, she was still considered a bigot, which I think is absolutely horrendous. So Kat T, as a radical feminist, how can I foster a respectful dialogue with trans women about women's issues without it being unproductive for everyone involved? That can be quite tricky. The problem being that trans women and gender critical feminists, or like both sides, use different language. And so when you refer to trans women as men, that is something which we do generally find quite offensive. I don't like being referred to as a man. I certainly understand that I'm biologically male. I mean, I'm a trans woman, that's a part of it. But when you call us men, that's not a productive thing to do. That's not the way in which we really are. So trying to drop that kind of language would be a bit of a start. I'm just saying that because I've seen a lot of gender critical people do that kind of thing. What I would say is make them understand that that them by themselves aren't the problem, but what your concern is what you really kind of worried about. So I would, hopefully that can answer a bit of it. But yeah, it can be quite tricky. And unfortunately, I don't have all the answers. And one of the things that I quite like about my channel is that my content's not aimed at feminists at all, but I seem to have quite a few gender critical people watch and enjoy my content. And that's great for me, because that shows that there is like a dialogue, or at least like a bit of respect there. I would much rather that than do a video being like F TERFs, F this, F that. And then, just upset these people and just basically slam the door in their face. It's much better to have a dialogue. And that's why I'm really thankful for my gender critical fans. It's genuinely something I never thought would happen, but it's, it's a really cool thing. So I'm glad that you watched my channel. So JPG NOK 100, thank you so much. I've no idea what the currency is, but that's a real. I'm really happy that you donated. Thank you so much. Ellie's Avosi, hello, I love your channel. Keep up the good work. I'm a design student. I'd love to make your merch designs. Oh, thanks. I've actually launched my merch channel, which is in the description of this video, which I'm going to go over in a couple of minutes. So Russell Ward is saying DID is multiple personality disorder. Yeah. I wouldn't really be able to comment a lot on the multiple personality disorder, unfortunately. It's not something I've ever really looked into. I'm aware of people considering themselves as like collectives and stuff. And that was a thing on Tumblr a couple of years ago, which could be quite strange. Nicholas says, you look pretty tonight, Rosie. Oh, thank you. Before I got compared to a python swallowing a big rat. So I quite like being told that that I look good. So David Bikosh, good afternoon. I'm from Montreal, live in Laval, Quebec. My mind is open to the idea of dating a transgender. Rose of Dawn, I do find you very attractive. Are there places to meet transgendered? First of all, I hate the phrase transgendered. It's just a personal thing. There are websites for dating trans women. There will probably be clubs, although the clubs are almost always seedy. So I would say I would recommend you stay away from them. I've been to a couple of these. They are filthy in more ways than one. Personally, I hate them. But places like OkCupid, there will be trans women using them. Just treat us in the same way you would treat any other woman. That's all we ask. We don't want to be treated as objects. So maybe don't go looking out exactly for a trans woman, but if you come across a trans woman, just treat her with respect. Don't treat her as a sexual object. That's quite important. So Wayne Banks says, Rose, I consider you a trans activist with common sense. Oh, thanks. I don't always see myself as a trans activist, but I suppose I kind of am. So Michael Collum, you're awesome. Just found your channel recently. Awesome. Thank you. So drop the chalupa. When you were coming out, how bad would you say the trans activism had gotten compared to how it is now? And were you able to make your family understand these issues better? So when I came out, trans activism was nowhere near at the forefront of common discourse as it is now. It was still fairly niche. You would go to LGBT events and the trans side of it would barely be mentioned, if at all. It would often be forgotten. So it wasn't a thing. At the time, the main focus was still on things such as same-sex marriage. So this wasn't a real problem. This wasn't really a conversation to have. And this did make coming out to my family a bit difficult because they weren't really aware. And a lot of, when I came out to friends around the same time, like a lot of them were just saying, oh, couldn't you just be gay? Which, you know, ain't great. I won't go too much into detail with coming out with my parents because there's quite a bit of personal stuff involved in that. All I can really say is it was a very difficult time. It wasn't easy for them to hear. There was a lot that we had to work on. However, now our relationship is stronger than ever. So if you are someone who's watching this video, you're trans and you haven't come out to your parents yet, be prepared that it might not be an easy conversation to have. And whether that's easier now because of the state of trans activism, I wouldn't be able to say. However, work at it and it will be worth it in the end. So let's see. So Muy Felicita has paid DKK20. I keep on forgetting what currency that is. Do you know Catherine McGregor from Australia? I think so. Is it she's some sort of like millionaire or like some sort of businesswoman, I think. I'm not too sure off the top of my head, sorry. So Deja Voodoo, do you think that in the current internet climate, cancel culture and all that, people are being angry for the sake of being angry and reacting publicly? Yes, I think people are doing that quite purposely. I think they do it for internet clout as a way of making themselves feel much better about themselves, as a way of basically, it's a power trip. Like, it's kind of like that mob mentality when you can feel so much better than somebody else. Like, there's a really good book. Oh, God damn it. I can't remember the name of the author. It's called So You've Been, I think it's John Ronson. So You've Been Publicly Shamed. I really recommend that if you want to look at that kind of phenomenon where people's lives have been ruined just for like a stupid tweet. It's why it's always better to err on the side of caution when people are getting outraged online, because you don't necessarily know what the full story is. But I think modern activism definitely takes advantage of that. And these people within their own echo chambers will legitimately see all their targets as being, you know, people who they can really attack. And it's virtuous to do so. So let's see. Simona Consciente, don't you think the real problem is identity politics? Yes, it's entirely, identity politics is the entire problem behind where we are now. Like, the original idea behind the channel was more of a critique of identity politics as a whole. Any kind of movement which says that they represent anyone who is part of that group, and it doesn't matter whether it's based on race, sex, sexuality, gender, any of those kinds of things that you can't really control on your own, they should always be met with skepticism. If a group tells you, like, black people would never do that, women think this, Trans people don't like that. Any kind of speech like that, be very wary of them, because they're telling you that they understand what a huge proportion of society, even if it's a minority, you're still talking tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands or even millions of people. They're telling you this is how they think and how they act. Every single person is an individual. Every single person should be treated as an individual. And whilst there's certainly some things which, for example, civil rights movement, suffragettes, where there was indeed a need to fight for a specific rights where people were treated as lesser in society, nowadays a lot of these battles have already been won, and we're seeing people pick fights where there isn't really anything, like manspreading, for example. Like, who really cares about manspreading? Like, I live in London and I take the tube regularly. I don't really see manspreading all that much, and I've seen it like proper guys with their legs spread out like about 2 or 3 times. It's quite rare, but I do think that identity politics and people basing the whole personality, the whole belief system based around being LGBT, a woman, being an ethnic minority, I think that's quite a dangerous thing. I think people should be looking at just believing who they are, like believe whatever it is that they believe, and your identity should not dictate your politics. The personal is not political. So let's see. What else? There's quite a lot. So it's smart. I really apologize if I miss your questions. I'm going to try and be on the stream for quite a while. So I'm going to try and answer things. Like, I don't want to ignore anyone. I really don't want people to think that they're being ignored. So Smart Boy 2. How do you keep yourself in a positive state of mind despite all the negativity that's going on everywhere these days? Well, that is really nice. So the thing is, a lot of it, I kind of laugh at it. I find a lot of it ludicrous. Whilst I talk about things which I'm passionate about, every single story I cover, I'm passionate of. I try not to kind of get things bogged down, because I know in my personal life, people don't necessarily see me as someone who is particularly ludicrous. And we see all these bizarre examples going on, but I'm still treated as me. I'm still treated as an individual. And I can laugh about this stuff with my friends. And I'm a trans woman myself, so I can sit around and be like, well, this is really stupid shit right here. And they'll be like, yeah, it is. But they're not taking it out on me, because they see me as a person. And so having friends and family that I can just kind of talk to about all of this definitely kind of helps. Just the Ed Sykes, I think he's responding to somebody else. It's interesting to learn about, like Blair said, because she is male biologically, she's had a period of identifying as gay before transition. Yeah, that's quite common. I didn't. I genuinely didn't. Weird thing with my transition, I would say that sexuality-wise, like, I don't even know what I would say that my sexuality was. Like, I remember I tried hooking up with women. I didn't like it. Really didn't like it. I don't know, but I feel a lot stronger about being with guys since I transitioned. So your hormones do sometimes affect your sexuality, which is a bit weird. But yeah, when I really look back at it, I don't know what my sexuality would have been. I definitely wouldn't have identified as a gay man. I probably would have said that I was straight just so I wouldn't get any crap from people, but that's kind of about it. So the Sinister Porpoise, how do you feel about demisexuals? Demisexuals are like, it's ridiculous. It's this weird idea of like, well, I can't love someone, I can't be sexually attracted to someone unless I really, really like them. Like, that's not a sexuality. That's just that's just a preference. Like, you would rather be intimate with people who you are, like, who you are close to. That's cool. It doesn't have to be its own sexuality. Like, a lot of these weird sexualities don't need to be anything. It's just seems to be gay, straight, bi. That's all you need to describe sexuality. You don't need any more words than that. So let's see. I feel like most trans girls are bisexual. I don't know. Some, maybe. So Kat T, Rosa Dawn, what do you think of the trans community will be like in a few years? What issues going on currently do you think will resolve themselves? And how do you think things will change? I don't know, really. I think the way that things are going, it's difficult to say because right now the cool political thing is to, is to side with the tranners and side with what they're saying. And I kind of find it a bit strange that it's now where it currently is, but I'm not sure I'm honestly not sure. Because it could go really one or two ways. It's either, I feel like it's either going to go to like the more extreme all genders are valid, or it's going to go to the more extreme trans people as a whole aren't valid. I kind of almost feel like us in the middle are going to be the ones that are going to get blowback no matter what happens. So I've been trying to follow the chat. I can see that I got a couple of different super chats in, which I've missed off. So I'm going to try and read out some of those. So Giddy 328, $1.99. Happy Sunday. JMS, £50. That's incredible. Thank you so much. That's really generous. So Leica, or Leisha, sorry, I keep on forgetting how I pronounce your name. I just wanted to show some gender critical support for the channel. Thank you. Like Leisha's brilliant. Like she helps out a lot in my Discord server. Like thank you all for your help. So Ed Sykes, £20 to support your channel. Thank you. And Soul Foodie 1, £20. You are amazing. Oh, thank you. Angelica Perez, $1.49 with a rose. Moi Felicita, cheers, Rose. ZKK20. There was a couple more, but honestly, I need to get better at reading the super chats. I am very, very sorry. So what I want to do quickly before I forget is I want to talk people through my new shop. I got a shop. It's here. So it is the Rose of Dawn gift shop. Now, as you can see, there are plenty of wonderful goods that you can purchase. For example, there is a mug. So click on the mug. And it says on the back, stupidity is intersectional. So there's that. There's a couple of different t-shirts, a couple of different tops. I quite like these fitted tank tops. They're the kind of things that I really like wearing. There's a black mug as well. So it says the stupidity is intersectional on it as well. There's these t-shirts. There are no custom flashlights, no. So there's these t-shirts as well. It has the little logo there. Stupidity is intersectional. There's a tote bag. There is a iPhone case. There is some stickers as well. So I've tried to price on Teespring. You can change the prices of things. I've tried to make it as as cheap as possible, really. Like I'm not doing any of this for a profit. I wanted this to be more of a thing for especially because the base prices for these things can be quite pricey. So I just wanted to do this as a thing where people would like to have something with my logo on it or my catchphrase or whatever. Is a cheap way of getting official merchandise. So the link is in the description of this video. So if you would like that stuff, please check it out. I don't know whether the prices will be able to stay like this forever. I might have to raise it because I'm not sure how Teesprings works. But for the time being, I'm going to try and keep it cheap. So with that, I'm going to try and get back to some more questions. Let's see. Rose, so this is Victor Toombs. What do you say to people who say facts don't care about your feelings? The word facts is being thrown around a lot to discredit trans people. Well, a lot of it can go both ways, really. because there are facts on the trans side as well. Like, when a lot of these people will just say, well, you're either biologically male or you're biologically female. That's it. Facts don't care about your feelings. But gender dysphoria is a studied phenomenon. It's not something that everyone has all the answers to, unfortunately. We just know it's something which is there. And it would be helpful to find out more as to why it happens. Like, there is the talk about, I don't want to say lady brain because I know that people can get offended by that, but the way in which trans women's brains can be different to, say, like a biological male's brains. But even that, I've tried looking at the evidence that, and there are arguments for and against it. So it's difficult to say that the facts on trans people on gender dysphoria are set in stone. I don't think they are, and I think a lot more research into it is needed. So let's see what else is there. So Bike Girl, as someone that transitioned in 2004, I find the modern trans activist thing totally unbelievable. I can't understand why they think lesbians want to sleep with them. It's all very rapey. Yeah, it is. And it's more often than not, it's always the ones who don't look like women. Like, I know I'm going to get some flack for this, but when I hear the ones that are like, it's really transphobic to turn me down, they don't necessarily look very feminine. These ones, let's just say that I've known some lesbians who have found trans women attractive. I know a lesbian who found Paris Lee's quite hot, for example. But having said that, I don't know whether, I don't even know whether Paris has had the surgery or not. Like, I used to be friends with Paris years ago, and I got some stories about that. This is pretty funny. Including Paris saying a particular phrase which she didn't have a license to say. That's all I'll say. It's quite controversial. So, with all your digging into Monroe, Witch Hazel, with all your digging into Monroe Bergdorf, what would you say surprised you the most, and what is your general opinion of her? It's hard to say without spoiling the video. I would probably say the most surprising thing is that I quite like some of the DJing that she's done. I was doing some research. I actually had one of her mixes on, and it reminded me very much of like when I first moved to London and the kind of club music that I would listen to. So she's definitely got some talent as a DJ. My overall opinion of her, though, is that she is someone who is basically a clout chaser, someone who uses identity to get her own way. Long story short, Monroe Bergdorf would not be known were it not for the L'Oreal controversy in 2017. That was how she became famous. And without that, no one would care about her now. She wouldn't be getting all of these like newspapers, like interviews, or presenting, or being featured on like big walkways. Like, she did do some modeling, but it was generally for quite small, like quite small brands, like independent designers. She wouldn't be anyone without her controversy. So I'm going to go into detail on that. Sorry. So let's see. As an asexual, I basically don't have a sexuality. It's an absence of attraction. I like when I was talking about sexualities, I do, whilst I talk about things like demisexual being a bit weird, like I know asexuality is definitely a thing. So Alex Thompson, Rich of Dawn. Well, okay. So let's see. Here you go. Drop the Chalupa says, have you ever spoken with Miranda Yardley or ContraPoints before one-on-one? I have chatted to Miranda Yardley once or twice. I've never talked to ContraPoints. Miranda is interesting, especially because he makes it very clear that he wants to be referred to with male pronouns and as a man, which I think is very counterproductive to being what a trans woman is. I think that one of the things I find kind of strange is like the actual outrage that even Miranda's name can get when you mention him as like, you know, like, oh, he's the pariah or something, like, you know, it's like some sort of diseased individual is coming into the village and everyone's running away and like run away from the leper kind of thing. And it's like, well, let him believe what he wants. Like, so long as he doesn't expect other trans women to start referring to themselves as men and using male pronouns, he can believe what he likes. So let's see. So Krasi Renee Saforoxi. I've been called a TERF for expressing my feelings on trans kids and also about a doxer. I was smeared. I commend you on your bravery of talking about these issues. I'm not a feminist, regardless. Anyone who criticizes the current trans orthodoxy is considered a TERF. Like when they respond to you like, oh, it just means trans exclusionary radical feminist. I don't think it does, because even though technically it does, they don't use it in that way. They don't like the amount of people who they call a TERF. I mean, I've seen Ricky Gervais be called a TERF. Like, he's not a feminist. But I personally try not to use TERF just because, like, I know that the gender critical people don't like it, and I think it's just more productive of it. I don't want them to refer to me as a Tim, even though some of them do. So I try and be respectful of that. But yeah, it is just a slur at this point. It's just a way of shutting down people that you don't like. So when do you plan on uploading Monroe Bergdorf video? It'll be at the end of the month or the start of December. And that was Genevieve Simmons. Blamgam, you have a shop. What are you? A dirty capitalist? Yes. I remember when I used to go to parties in the queer community, and I would often be referred to as the good capitalist in a really patronizing way. It's like, oh, she's the good capitalist. She's a good capitalist. And I'm thinking, like, being a capitalist is neither a good thing nor a bad thing. It's just a point of view. So Finn Whitehack says, wear your merch in a vid, please. I should probably buy some of my own merch. We need a peak trans mug. Maybe I'm gonna, like, if this stuff is popular, I'm going to actually maybe make more designs. So see how these go. And if these are popular enough, then what I might do is speak to people who want to create art or various things that can put them on merch. So yeah, maybe. I do need something like Absolute Tranner, maybe. So let's see. Johnny Azul, so $10. Boozy, yes, darling. Like, this is a really nice drink, but like, oh god, like, condensation is completely pouring through this glass. Well, I'll say glass. It's like a copper cup thing from Shanghai Disney. But it's an espresso martini, and it's really nice. But yeah, this wasn't the best drinking vessel because now there is water everywhere. Also, I just realized I haven't vaped. Yeah, that's bound to wind up a couple of people. So Derby Danger, do you think narcissism is a big problem with trans people? I kind of think so. With some, not all. And I think that some people might assume narcissism where it isn't there. But the whole idea of everyone pay attention to me, you have to make everything about me. Everything in the office has to be about me, even if I'm the only trans person here and I'm the only one who's going to be affected by it. Like, there is definitely some narcissism involved in the movement. So Baker 1982, I just feel like a lot of the next generation trans community is unraveling all the hard work the older generations have done to be recognized. Keep up the good work, Rose. Well, thanks. I agree. I think that there's been a lot of people who have really, pushed to improve or be able to even allow people like me to live basically just to allow us to live. And it's kind of gone from a just like tolerate. It's more from a point of tolerance. So just allow us to do this. Allow me to have the freedom to do this. To you have to refer to me in this way. You have to see me in this way. And they're two very different things. One is arguing for an individual freedom. The other one is arguing for the collective to see you in a particular way. One puts the responsibility on us, which is the way I believe everything should be done. The other is, no, society has to deal with it. And that's not on. And that's what's going to piss people off. So Ed Sykes saying, yeah, I enjoy listening to Miranda. Anyone with unique opinions is interesting. Yeah, Miranda is interesting. I don't agree much with Miranda Yardley, but like it's interesting that there are trans people out there with those kinds of views. Like there is no monopoly, or there should be no monopoly on what the trans view on something is. So I advise, listen to some of the TRAs, listen to Miranda. If you want somebody a bit more in the middle, listen to me. So Valdegas, I've seen Blair White referred to as a TERF, and she's definitely not a feminist. Yeah, yeah, Blair's definitely not a feminist. So Von Harf, what are your thoughts on young butch lesbians being pushed into being trans? I'm a butch lesbian, and even my mom said if I were raised today, she would have thought I was a trans man. I do think that this is a problem, but just to kind of explain what bit, because I've got a lot of opinions on this. So when you see the current kind of trans movement, the way that it is, you get a lot of young non-binary people, and the vast majority of these are biologically female. And a lot of this is coming from the community that is telling you that if you're a little bit gender non-conforming, you are trans. Don't necessarily blame all trans women for this being a thing which is happening, because whenever I see these kinds of conversations on like young women being told that they are trans, it always seems to then be reflected onto trans women for some reason, which is quite weird. But this is a genuine concern. In fact, this is a big problem of the non-binary movement in general. But at the same time, recognize that there are going to be trans men. Not every single one of these is a trender. There are going to be some who are genuine trans men. But it is quite terrifying when you kind of you take a step back and you look at what's happening. And yeah, there will be a lot of young women who are basically butch lesbians who are going to be told that they're not women, that they are a magical gender that is all of their own. Like, that is going to mess up a lot of people. And yes, this happens more to women than it does to men. In a way, this is more of a women's issue than it is a man's issue. Like, male NBs are much rarer. Like, there might be people like Travis Alabanza and now Sam Smith in the news, but if you go to a trans event, vast majority of NBs, biologically female. So let's see. So Mata Gaijinka. Hey, I hope I pronounced that. One thing that always annoys me is when an old school transsexual disagrees with the activists. We are always labeled as transphobic and hateful. What do you think of this? Well, I'm kind of in the same boat. I think that's the term. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I'm disagree with these people and I'm called transphobic and hateful. Like, as an example, there was a video which Rachel Oates put up yesterday, like where she's credited me as being someone who's helped out. Just to clarify, I didn't actually help out in it all that much. But my name was mentioned before the video went up, and someone responded on it saying, oh, it's a bit controversial getting that Rose of Dawn involved. And I'm like, actually, I think the video is probably going to appease you quite a lot. Like, my input in it was quite low, so like I know what it's like. You know, I even saw her being like kind of low-key shaded just for being associated with me. Like, so this is something which definitely happens. Nuka145, did you see Metica video on sex reassignment surgery? If so, what did you think of it? Is that the video he put up where it was literally a video of someone going through the surgery? Because if it was, I saw a couple of seconds of it and turned it off because, like, yeah, it's not a pleasant looking surgery. But then what is? Like, I kind of find it weird that people share videos of like GRS as though look how horrific this is. But who really looks at, like, say, like a heart operation and watches that and thinks like, oh, that looks great? Like, no surgery looks good. Like, I am really quite squeamish when it comes to things like blood and surgery things. They go through me. So I think if that's the video you're talking about, then yeah, I've seen that one. So let's see what else. No, I don't blame trans women at all. I blame doctors. I just respect you and wanted to know your opinion. So I didn't mean that as as kind of like a slight on you personally. I just mean that as because that's what I've seen from the gender critical crowd. Like, please don't take that the wrong way. I didn't intend for that to be aimed at you. But yeah, there is that, like, I don't even know whether it's the doctors that are to be entirely blamed for it, because there's a lot of pressure from the community as well. Like it's kind of like this social contagion of gender dysphoria does seem to be a thing, where you get a group of people, one of them comes out as NB, and you will start to see more and more NBs pop up in that circle. And they won't actually do anything to transition. They'll just announce they're NB and that's it. So it might not necessarily be the doctors, but even when the doctors are the ones who are signing off on it, bear in mind that a lot of these people are under pressure from activists as well to basically give out hormones whenever anyone demands it, because otherwise you're being a gatekeeper, and that's just wrong. This is going to blow up as a massive scandal. This is even when I'm talking about it, like, you know, I'm someone who thinks like, yeah, the medical professionals are the best choice for it, but then you end up with these situations where they're not really going to protect. God damn it. But yeah, I didn't mean that previous comment to be aimed at you, so I do apologize for that. So Veldegast, where in the UK are you from? I'm from Wales. I won't really say much more than that because I don't want to get doxxed. I would love to be able to say more about where I'm from. But it's this whole weird thing, like modern day, where if you put too much information out on the internet, someone will try and ruin your life. But I am originally Welsh. So let's see. Sorry, there's actually quite a lot of comments in here. Oh, that's that whole. Okay, Rose, been trying for a long time now. Perhaps I'm being ignored on purpose, but I'll try once again. I've not been ignoring you. I might just not have seen what you've said, so apologies. Why do you think people, especially young kids, are coming out as trans with gender dysphoria so rare? Do you mean that? Why do I think so many people coming out as trans if gender dysphoria is so rare? I think that's what he meant. That's a really hard question to answer. I do think that a lot of these people might not necessarily have gender dysphoria, as you're right in that it's a rare condition. I don't think it's as common as like even one or two kids per school. Like it does seem to be something which is growing a lot. Like, I wish we had more of an answer on that, because it would be, you know, it could effectively stop what is going to be a massive controversy in the future. Just to clarify, I wasn't ignoring your question. I'm getting there's a lot of comments on here. I'm trying to follow as much as I am. I'm really sorry. I hope I didn't upset you. So Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, Chris Pratt, shag, marry, kill. Oh God, that's a hard one. So probably shag. That is a really hard one. I'd probably say Chris Hemsworth for shag, Chris Pratt for marry, because he's quite based. I don't want to kill Captain America. But I guess I have to answer the question. Derby Danger, do you think doctors and therapists involved in transition are encouraging transition to everyone? I don't think they are encouraging, but I think there is probably pressure on them to do so, if that makes sense. Epstein didn't kill himself. You're absolutely right. Let's see. So you sound I sound northern. So where I'm from, we generally have what's known as a plastic Scouse accent. We don't really have Welsh accents where I'm from. Has anyone seen all the NB emojis? They are all grey and creepy. Yeah, they're really weird. I don't even know why they're pushing it. Like, it's just to make like such a small percentage happy who are going to find someone else to be offended about it anyway. Pete Hill, I always thought you were from Lancashire. I don't think I've ever even been to Lancashire. Or maybe I have. If Lancashire is where Camelot it used to be, then yeah, I might have been there. Okay, so Blam Glam, so I gotta get back to work. I just want to thank you along with Blair and Lilith for pulling me back from being a radical anti-trans psycho. I really appreciate you all. Thank you. Yeah, Blair and Lilith are both awesome. Oh, there was somewhat, damn it, there's well, okay, Alexa Lee, what is your opinion on transitioning without hormones or surgery? I think it's difficult. I think it's very difficult. I get that there are some circumstances where people would not be able to go through the medical process. However, you are basically doing your transition at a handicap. If you're doing that based on choice, then I am going to question what you actually want out of this, because hormones definitely help and surgery definitely helps as well. If you really want to what exactly would you be transitioning if you're not doing any kind of medical pathway? But I get that there are people who can't actually medically transition, but it just means that they've got to put in more work in other places. Like, it's not good enough for me if you just say, well, this person can't medically transition, but they still look like Barry the bricklayer holding forth on the terraces with a pint of Bovril. Like, if you still look like that, then you're going to, and you're not doing any kind of surgery, like, oh, you're in like extreme mode transition if you want any kind of success there. I know that sounds nasty, but I think that really, if you're not looking at any kind of medical pathway, like, unless you're not physically able to do so, then I'm going to question whether it's going to be successful or not. Hopefully that answered your question. So Mata says they are totally screwed. Young people are being negatively affected by the actual transsexuals. I had surgery 14 years ago, and I do not remember things being this toxic. No, they're now incredible. It's now extremely toxic. It never used to be this bad. But it's this frustrating thing where it's only now that trans issues are coming into the limelight, and straight away it's just negativity. It's just, you have to bend the knee to us, and that is so frustrating. Riley Dennis says you don't have to have dysphoria to be trans. That's just wrong. Riley is wrong. Riley is wrong about a lot, but she's definitely wrong about that. Damn it, the chat keeps on jumping. Rose, do you smoke pot? Come to America and get high with me. I don't really smoke weed that much now. Stacey Harrington, how based are you? Well, I wouldn't say like extremely based. I'm not black pilled in any way. But if you want to kind of get more of my my political views, I'm happy to talk about them here if people want to hear it. But I often go on unpopular opinions with academic agent who's particularly black pilled. I'm based enough to go on his channel. Do you have a regular job besides YouTube? And if so, what do you do? I can't mention what my job is. Yeah, I do have a regular job. It's one which I really enjoy doing, actually. I would love to be able to, it's actually a really interesting job as well. So I would love to be able to talk about it, but doxing, like, we live in such a nasty time where, like, I can't mention any of this. All right, let's see. Damn, Rose, smoke small cigars. Vape is bad for you. Nah. Okay. On a scale from David Lammy to academic agent, I am not an agent of Lammy. Like that. The fact that no news source will talk about Clinton Epstein to the prince makes me believe they support all human trafficking. It's all about political convenience. Like, people were happy to talk about Epstein when they thought that Trump was the one who was poised to lose more. When people kind of realized it was the Clintons, they shut up quite quickly. Like, I remember when Epstein died, and what was trending were, like, there seems to be two things trending, which is the Clinton kill count, and then there was the Trump kill count. And the Trump one seemed almost forced as a response to the Clinton one. I do think that if there was more dirt against Trump, it would be a huge worldwide story. I think it's purely for political reasons that we're not hearing about it, and that's absolutely disgusting. How do you get past bitterness when this whole discourse is my way or the highway? I got a lot of hobbies and stuff. I try not to get too focused on everything which I'm doing. Like, I try and be a lot more relaxed about stuff, and I think that kind of helps. When did you first find out you really liked classic Disney animation and films, and any other cartoons you like? So I really got into classic Disney when I got a Blu-ray player years ago, and I got a copy of Pinocchio. So I absolutely love Pinocchio, and I was amazed at how clean it looked on the Blu-ray, and it just kind of, because it looked like a whole new film. And so I started to I wanted to get like more films. So I ended up getting like Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, and all this. And then eventually I just really got into Disney more and more and more. And then I built an entire collection, which you can kind of see in the corner over there is just a bit of it. So I have every Walt Disney Animated Studios film which has been released on Blu-ray, every single Pixar film, all the Pirates of the Caribbean, all the Muppets, all the Star Wars, all the Marvel, or MCU rather, both Mary Poppins films, both Tron films, Nightmare Before Christmas, a couple of others as well. I've got quite a lot of Disney films, but Disney is one of my big passions. Disney, theme parks, and Disney parks. So can you say hello to my wife, Cassie? Hi, Cassie, if you're watching this. Hi. Tutor Switch. I want to say I don't always agree with you, but thank you for being brave enough to speak for yourself as a transsexual who has been labelled as true scum by former friends. I think if you're saying you're referred to as true scum, like, there's going to be a lot of my beliefs that people who watch my channel are going to disagree with, but that's fine. There's no person out there that I agree with 100%. But thank you for watching my channel. I do appreciate it. So Playback Junkie, how did you know you were trans? Did you always feel like a girl? It's one of those really awkward questions because it sounds so stereotypical now when you tell people how you kind of felt. I remember just feeling incredibly awkward as a kid. And it's very much, but like I wanted to. It's easier to probably say I wanted to be a girl when I was a kid. I had no idea about what being trans was, but I hated the fact that I was that I wasn't going to be a girl, that I wasn't going to kind of develop in that way, and it became much more of a problem in puberty when I kind of grew to understand a bit more about what the body goes through then. And that puberty for me was a real hard time. The kind of irony is if I was going through puberty now, I probably would be pushing myself to get on hormones at a young age. But as an adult, I know that's probably not the best thing. It's such a difficult question to answer. How did I know that I was trans? Because only try and explain it to people, you'll often get someone who'll listen to it and just be like, that's absolute bullshit. That doesn't mean anything. Like, it's quite difficult to actually describe. It's why trans issues are so tough to even talk about. Pete Hill, many scholars identify Camelot with Colchester because Colchester's last name is Camuldenham. Thomas Malloy identifies Camelot with Winchester. Neither of these places are in Lancashire. I was referring to Camelot the theme park. Closed down in 2012. Sorry. So what's your general style / fashion taste like? So generally I like wearing I went from a big period a couple of years ago, mostly wearing like skater dresses and things like that. As a more casual look, I'll often just wear like a nice top and a pair of jeans. Like I've really gone off wearing normal t-shirts. I mostly quite like wearing like a decent length dress, like not necessarily like a really short dress or anything, one which kind of just comes to just over my knees. And I like wearing a jacket with it as well. It's one of the reasons why I don't quite like summer, because I like having jacket over me. I often go to Topshop to use their like they have this what's it called, personal shopping thing where they can help pick out clothes for you, and I kind of helps build my sense of style. Did I ever read the original Pinocchio? No, I'm aware of it, but I've never actually read it. Rose, I'm being called anti-transgender as I spoke up about anti-trans stupids. They roll over the fact I respect you and Blair White. Well, they will ignore, and like you'd have to be worshipping people like Rachel McKinnon, like for them to not consider you transphobic. Orange Pup says I prefer no guests. Well, like if this is popular, then I'll do more of these. Like I want to do more things where I'm actually speaking with people, because I've got to acknowledge that I do have a community. Like it's one of the things where after the way my channel has exploded, it's like it kind of something which I kind of forget. Like it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel real that I have so many people who watch and listen to what I say. Like it kind of feels a bit like imposter syndrome. But I will, if this kind of thing is popular, I will try and do more of these. Sweet Nova B, $9.99, thank you. I have the same Voopoo drag vape. My favorite juice flavor is blood orange mango snow cone. I also love floral juices like violet, rose, green tea. What are your go-to vape flavors? Love you. Well, thanks. I got this when my old kit broke. So my all-time favorite e-liquid is, I don't know, I doubt they will have it in America, but it's this brand called Dinner Lady, and they have a flavor called lemon tart. And it is amazing because you get a real lemon and pastry flavor to it, and no other e-liquid can compare. Like it even people who don't vape, who have like tried it or smelt it, think it tastes amazing. Like it's incredible. If you're ever able to get hold of it, that's what I recommend. There was a brand called Element that did a really nice flavor a couple of years ago. It's called Key Lime Cookie and Pink Lemonade, which is a really nice combination, but then they stopped doing it. So Jimmy Despance, since you live in a major metro, you may have better insight, but on social media, it seems there's a culture war brewing between cis women and MBs, and trans women are going to be used as the weapons. I don't think the culture war is specifically between cis women and MBs, but it's more based on, I think when it comes to things like culture wars, it's more based on ideologies that are pushing, that are kind of like backing up each side. So I would say that it would be more feminists, a new wave of feminism, and the queer community. But they will both will use, well, in particular, actually, no, the queer community will be the ones that be like, looking at me and saying, like, I'm just like her. Now wax my balls bigger. Like, it's weird. How do you know what a girl feels like? Yeah, that's the $1 million question. Again, like, a lot of this stuff is really hard to describe. It's just more of a fact that what you identify with in your biology is something which really doesn't feel comfortable. You see something else and you think, that's the way that I should be looking. That's the way that I should be treated. That's the way that I should be seen. And like, I don't think that like a lot of trans women or anything are like parodies, although you certainly get some who are, but like, I'm just happy the way that I am. So Rose pranced around like a girl. Well, that was the Yaniv way. I mean, I don't know if anyone actually read Yaniv's court transcripts, but Yaniv regularly said that he would prance around like a girl, and that's how everyone knew that he was trans. So I don't know if Jerry is directly referencing it. I remember, Sophia, I remember years ago when I started my transition, there were only those Tumblr kids called Otherkin. Oh God, Otherkin. That takes me back. They evolved into MBs after 2016. I think you'd find like the generation which introduced NBs came out around 2012. I encountered my first NB in the wild in 2011. I was at a NUS conference because like I actually went to one of these, and there were loads of MBs there. Like, the only good thing was I actually met who would become like my future housemate. Weirdly, like I met her there. But yeah, there were loads of MBs there, and I remember them making arguments about like, how come people are referring to me as a woman? I'm clearly non-binary, and I'd be like, you look like a woman. Like, I kind of felt like that was NB in like the beta stage, and then they were released a few years later and just pissed everyone off. Okay, let's see. I just joined, but I'm curious, and maybe you have covered this topic, but what do you think of Meghan Murphy and what she is discussing? So Meghan Murphy is interesting because she is mainly because of the way that she's been consistently targeted over the last year. And especially as I first became aware of her when she got yeeted by Yaniv. That was quite interesting, when the way that people covered that, as they're like, oh, it's constant harassment against trans people, and it was really just targeted against one absolute buffoon. I think that, like, whilst I don't like the talk of like trans women or men, I don't like that line. Don't agree with that line, but what concerns me most is just the fact that people are threatening her right to say it. That's what the big concern is. So let's see. Jean Dispenser, I would enjoy a video where you share your transition story and timeline. Maybe. I might do something like that in the future. Oh, wow. Casey Adolphson. Casey, like, you're incredibly generous. Like honestly, she's on the, like, she's on my subscribe star, and always these really big donations. Like, it's out, like, honestly, thank you so much. She says, wanted you to know that watching your channel has helped save the relationship between my stepdad and his daughter. He is very Christian and she is trans. That's actually lovely. Like, actually making a difference like that. Like, yeah, that's mad. Like, that's really cool to hear. Thank you so much. Like, honestly, I'm so happy that I've been able to play any kind of part in that. Mark Metal 2013 with the dollar. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Rio Talks for $4.99. Smoked for 20 years, quit 1.5 years ago, and use 0 milligram juice now. Vaping is 97% safer. Milkman is my fave. What is your flavor today? Flavor I got today is strawberry and banana waffle. It's okay. It's not the best flavor, but it's one which will do. So Rio said again, I adore you and always smile and excitedly click the notifications no matter what I'm doing. Who is your favorite YouTuber to get notifications from? Okay. This is a good question. So I'll go over some of my favorite YouTubers. Not all of them are political. Most of them probably aren't. Just starting with the political ones. The main kind of channels I'd like to give a shout out to, well, first of all, Short Fat Otaku. So I appeared on his channel quite a few months ago now on a dumping with Scrump. Like, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, I'm really good friends with Scrump. So I was able to get on that. His videos are always ones that I will like put down whatever I'm doing and just watch straight away. I really like the way he puts things across. I know he's trying to launch a Twitch career as Game Boomers, which people can have a look at. But his main channel, Short Fat Otaku, is a really, really good channel. He's done one of my favorite YouTube videos of all time, which was basically it was like why capitalism is the best system which we currently have. Other ones who I will like often like just watch straight away, politically wise, obviously people like Blair White, Sargon of a Card, Academic Agents. I know he's a good friend of mine, but his content is really good. I know he can be a bit interesting at times, but he is incredibly intelligent. Not So Obvious does really good videos as well. Again, like I know he's my friend. But otherwise, Lauren Chen, I really like Megan as well. I think I mentioned Blair. But when it comes to away from political stuff, I quite like, it's going to sound weird, but like, you know, nostalgia critic style reviews, maybe not necessarily Nostalgia Critic himself, but I really like Cinema Snob and Phaelus. Like I often watch their stuff as soon as it comes out. I'm also a big fan of the Gino Samuel Chris Chan series. I was actually hoping on doing a stream with Gino Samuel about Chris Chan, but I kind of decided against it when I saw the reaction to my Chris Chan video, because I think a lot of people kind of see Chris Chan in a different way to what your average person who follows Chris Chan sees it. So that's interesting. Oh, also Dank. Obviously, I got to give a shout out to Dank. Otherwise, who else? I'll often watch Quartering, even if some of his videos can just be on, Brie Larson is failing in this and that and the other. Like, honestly, the amount of Brie Larson videos he watched. Like, I watched Captain Marvel. I actually quite liked it. I don't think Jeremy will be happy about that. So if I'm friends with Scrump, do I Sargon and Arch? Do I Sargon and Arch Warhammer? Well, I watch Sargon. Speaking of Sargon, I am actually penciled in to be doing a stream with him next week. This is one which we've been meaning to do for a while. It won't be on my channel. I think it will be on the Finkery. It's one that we were talking about doing in his Discord a while ago, and because Sargon is a bit of a boomer, basically you have to go through a guy who acts as his secretary to get something booked in. I was able to get that sorted the other week. So you've got that to look forward to, which will be quite interesting, because Sargon's been doing a lot of videos on trans stuff, and I've always wanted, especially because of that, I think it'll be quite helpful to have that conversation with him. But I know Sargon. Like, he's a really, really nice guy. So why do many LGBTs and feminists want to get revenge on straight white men by embracing the Islamists migrating in the EU? Do they not know what Sharia is? Well, I think this is just a thing with the left, has quite an infatuation with with Islam and ignores the more kind of strict conservative side of it, because they ultimately see Muslims as an oppressed minority, and the left likes to be the voice of the oppressed. I think that's more where it comes from. So they will often ignore so like the homophobia, the misogyny, the anti-Semitism, which comes from that community. I mean, like you had people like Ken Livingstone appearing on stage with Islamic preachers who had, like, you know, preached death to homosexuals not long after he had appeared on a stage with gay activists as well. And then obviously there's Corbyn. Yeah, less said about him the better. I think this isn't so much a thing with like the LGBT and feminists, but more just the left in general. Let's see what else. Oh, Megon has a great voice. He really does. Like, I really, really like him. Marcus, what's your opinion on Nick Fuentes and the Groypers? We kind of touched on this in Unpopular Opinions last week, actually. Like, it's weird. It's a weird situation. I've not been following it entirely, but I do think that, like, there's definitely, yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think I know enough on the subject to really give a full answer. I know that's a bit disappointing, unfortunately. I've had quite a lot going on over the last week, so I'm aware of the Groypers and Fuentes, it's a thing. I think that the Groypers are a bit more kind of like edgy boys, I think. Sorry, I can't really give a good answer on that. Sargon has a secretary. Yeah, Sargon has a couple of people who directly like work for him. So I was blown away by the deep dive into Chris Chan. I'm really glad that people quite enjoyed the Chris Chan video. I was actually nervous before I uploaded it because there was a couple of people, like when I had it on Premiere, a few people left comments at the start saying like, "Oh, this is going to be attacking him. You're just attacking an autistic man." And I'm like, no, it's not really. That's not really what this is. So I'm quite glad that people kind of saw that. Are you a DC Comics fangirl? Not really. I much prefer Marvel. Well, I prefer the Marvel movies, but I think that things like Batman probably makes a better comic, but I don't really read a lot of comics. Let's see. Corbyn is a disaster. Yes, he is. Hi, Sarah Ginter. Hi, my name is Sarah, and I've been watching you a few months now. I really agree with a lot what you say, and I'm a big fan. I was wondering if you will ever do a meet and greet in the United States. I probably wouldn't fly out specifically to do a meet and greet because I'm still quite a tiny channel. I have been looking at maybe in the future doing something like Minds. Is what I would like to do is go to America and actually meet a lot of American YouTubers, actually get to hang out with them. Like I mentioned earlier, that I'd love to hang out with London, and I want to hang out with Blair as well. There's other people over there that I would love to meet. Also, Mars really wants to meet up with me as well. He keeps on telling me to come to Florida, and I'm like, well, kind of like I need to go to Florida, so maybe. If I'm in, if I ever end up doing something like Minds, I will definitely make people aware of it. So if people wanted to come over and meet, that's definitely a thing. But it would be cool. It definitely would be cool. Let's see. I take them way too serious. Okay, so that's about the groupers. Okay. So KG say, I have more respect for you saying you just don't know enough to comment. Wouldn't our world be a great place if everyone said that? Yeah, I don't get why people don't say that enough. Just like, oh, I don't really know a lot about that. Like, why do we have to have the answer for everything? Am I on YouTube? Yes. You're literally on my channel. How do you solve the gender pay gap when there are 100 genders? I just want to play the shoe on head clip with the button. Air Wookie, did you explain your name, Rose of Dawn, yet? No, I didn't. So the name itself comes from when I was in university. There was I've had a friend who's in a band which called itself Rose of Dawn, and I quite liked the name. And then a couple of years later, the name kind of stuck in my head. And so when I was trying to think of a name to use for my channel and kind of start using online, I ended up using this. I originally used my real name. In fact, it's why the just to kind of clarify, my real name is Ashley. So like, that's why my URL is Ashley K, or Ashley K9. It's like a dog. I don't know why I put the K9. But Rose of Dawn just sounded a lot better. I didn't necessarily want to be using my proper name for this, and I kind of felt having a name like that would, like an actual online name, would be better. So I just used that name from years ago, and it kind of stuck, and I quite like it. So let's see. Do you like Against Me? They've done a couple of songs that I like, but that's it. What's your stance on children who use as pawns by adults pushing political issues like cultural Marxism and climate change? Like, it's something which I disagree with, and I think that both sides on the political spectrum have to stop doing it. I've noticed a lot of people seem perfectly happy when it's children on their side doing it, but the second the opponents do it, they get outraged. Like, there was that girl like months ago, it's like a mini AOC who, like, it was horrific. She and her family ended up getting death threats, and that's absolutely abhorrent. But I don't think that she should have been used as kind of like a political, used in what is ultimately political speech, even though, like, I could see what they were going for, because AOC is a bit of a child. But I also think I don't like the way that young people are held up, and then when you criticize them, you shouldn't do that. They're precious. Like, we've had Greta Thunberg, but then there's also been David Hogg. And they always seem to have this like insufferable look to them. They look perpetually angry, and then like they don't look happy, and I can't help but feel like they don't like being in the public eye themselves. And especially someone like Greta, who has I believe she does have some like mental disabilities. Like, it's not right for her to effectively be a AAA star. Like, she is effectively a big name celebrity now. Like, everyone in the world basically knows who she is. That's going to, and the thing is, in a couple of years, she's going to be dumped. Like, there is no way in 20 years' time people will even know who she is. Like, she gets the mileage now because she is a young girl, and it's a young person pushing this message. It's children are the future. That's what she's being used for. And so this is going to, she's being referred to as like a messiah, unironically. Like, not only is it frustrating to hear these kinds of messages from children, but it's going to do so much damage to them as well. Like, being thrust to such a high spotlight when you've got a family who have been, always kind of telling you are the greatest thing ever. Like, if she ever steps a foot wrong, like, she could crash in a big way. Like, you hear that with child stars all the time. Someone like Greta is no different. So will he make a Pillars video on McKinnon? I do have ideas of that. Maybe. Do I have a YouTuber who is a guilty pleasure? Maybe Quartering is a bit of a guilty pleasure. Well, yeah, maybe. It's kind of hard to really say. Maybe Nostalgia Critic, actually. Like, I know it's cool to hate Nostalgia Critic, but I do watch this stuff, provided it isn't a live action review. I love that click when you do when there's a K in something. It's cute. Oh, I didn't realize I did that. I have friends with Asperger's, so I'm quite sympathetic to Greta. I feel like she's being manipulated and it's horrible. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Casey says, you were the only person I pointed out that James Young's youngest father's motives may need to be questioned and that we should wait for more info before judging. Yeah, there was one video which I saw after I uploaded mine. Someone who has actually, to be fair, looked into that case in real great detail. I can't remember the name of the video, but I know that one or two people actually like it was real deep. They found so much stuff on this. So I don't think it is a case of just a of just one side, on just that she's being manipulated, or rather that the kid is being manipulated. There might be some manipulation in there. I do think that 7 years old is quite young anyway. So there's definitely needs to be some concern there, but that doesn't mean that the father is automatically in the right. Thank you for voicing your stance on Islam and children activists. I hope you do not face backlash from your own community for being open-minded to the red pill. Well, I like to think I'm quite red-pilled. Started streaming 91 minutes ago. Where was I? Like, oh god, yeah, this has been going on for like an hour and a half. The thing, I can weirdly talk for ages. Like, I remember watching I watched back a bit of the first stream that I did with Blair White, and I kind of cringed with the amount that I talk in it. And then, like, I think it was like a month or so later, on one of my videos, someone randomly commented on there just saying, like, oh, you didn't shut up at all during that video. It was awful. Blair looked really bored. And I'm like, shit. Like, it's because I was so nervous. I was doing it because, like, it's fucking Blair White. Do you get flack from the UK trans community? Yep. I do appear to be considered a problematic person. Quite controversial. So have you ever been to Canada? No, I haven't. I want to go to Canada. There's a couple of things which I really want to do in Canada, but they're usually all at different times of the year. Like, I'd love to, go and see some actual grizzly bears in the wild. I want to do Canada's Wonderland, like I think that's near Toronto. I also really, really, like, it's kind of like a bucket list thing, but I want to go on a seal tour where you kind of get taken to, like, one of the more Arctic areas, and you get to hang out with baby harp seals. Like, these are legitimate tours which go on, and you can just hang out with baby seals. Like, that is something which I really, really want to do. Are you in a relationship? Well, someone necessarily say, like, I'm in, like, a relationship. I am seeing someone. I've been seeing him for a couple of weeks now. Like, he got me this bracelet the other day, actually. It's really sweet. He's a really sweet guy. Maybe, kind of see it as a relationship, I suppose. It's not, like, anything really formal, but yeah, I would say I'm in a relationship. Let's see what else. Come to Toronto. Well, I think that's where Canada's Wonderland is, but I would like to go there. Visit Vancouver around June or August for the best weather. Yeah, I've heard it gets ridiculously hot. Like, around that time, but then in the winter it gets ridiculously cold. A couple of friends of mine went to Canada about 5 years ago, actually, and they went, I think it was like towards the end of October when it was like ridiculous, like wintry weather. I know you're doing your show, but could you say a quick prayer for me as I use the separator? Did you ever do a vid on what the pain is to be us? I wouldn't really say that there's pain in being trans. Certainly discomfort. And now that I've like kind of transitioned, I wouldn't say that I'm particularly in pain. I definitely wouldn't word it like that. Let's see. I thought Rose said she wanted to be a seal. Well, seals are awesome. Like I look like seals, baby harp seals in particular are like one of the most awesome animals because they're just basically small, fluffy, fat things that just bop around. Where's the seal voice? Oh, what's the seal? Is it when I talk like this? Is it when I do my baby voice? Is that the seal voice? Brexit. Well, yeah, I would say that I support Brexit. I voted Remain, but my position on it kind of changed, and now I just think that the UK needs to leave the EU. Like, the only way now that I would vote Remain is basically if Corbyn manages to get into power, and the reason for that is the EU will limit the amount of nationalisation that the British government will be able to take. Just because as much as I want to leave the EU now, full-scale socialism scares me more. So that would win in that situation. It would do it very begrudgingly. But fact is, if it was like a Lib Dem-led second referendum, I would vote to leave. But it's just like because Corbyn is so extreme and it's that specific circumstance. But obviously, I'm hoping that Boris wins in December. I'm voting Conservative. Do you know what happens when you assume, Tadpole? Okay. Let's see. You do not want to see grizzly bears, but they're cute. Like, they're just these massive bears. Hop seals are lazy. Like, they are. Well, the baby ones are, because they basically just sit there and they just be really fat. Hi, Rose. You are you very pretty woman. Oh, thanks. Like, yeah, I often like my comments seem to be very split on my appearance when you watch my actual videos. Like, the amount of people that will either be saying like I am ridiculously ugly and I'm blatantly a man, or the amount of people like, wait, are you actually trans? I didn't have any idea. Like, it's really weird. You don't have to go far to see baby seals. We have seals in the UK. Yeah, but they're not harp seals. Like, harp seals are a special kind of seal. Like, I actually have a baby harp seal special video that is going to go up when I'm too well to do a trans stupid. Otherwise, or if that doesn't happen, it will go up at the end of the year. Let's see. I used to think it's whack people confuse being liberal with being an SJW. Not all of us are that extreme. Most of us can see the idiocy in Rachel McKinnon or Unive. Well, I would generally consider myself to be a classic liberal. Like, I believe much more in liberal values. Liberalism is being diluted to just mean progressive, which isn't necessarily what it is. When you see that the progressive movement is very intent on shutting down people it doesn't like, which is an extremely illiberal thing to do. I think the term has been bastardized. I would like for it to be brought back. I think that's why the phrase classic liberal is important. I know that it kind of gets a bad rap from some people because they think, oh, it's just people trying to be edgy. But no, if you want to discuss what liberalism means, that seems to be the only term we can use nowadays. What's my biggest fear? I don't like... Okay, my biggest fear is really stupid, but bear with me. So my biggest fear is the nuclear bomb. Like, this sounds really stupid, like, I know, but I don't know how many of you might have heard of this BBC film from the 1980s called Freds. Basically, it's a film about what would happen to Sheffield if it's hit by a nuclear bomb and like World War III happens. And like, it's really low budget, but it's terrifying. Like, it's genuinely the scariest film I've ever seen. And the last time I watched it, I had difficulty sleeping, and it genuinely triggered my anxiety. And that never happens with like horror films or like anything else. I do have a quite severe anxiety disorder, but it's never been triggered by like watching a film or anything. But I just became very, very worried about that happening. And so I would say that, yeah, nuclear war is probably my biggest fear. Well, like, as in, like, that really is a legitimate fear, which I have. Polar bears are scary. Yeah, they can be really scary. But they're also quite cute. How long did it take you for your YouTube show to start getting successful? You're doing really well. So I uploaded my first video in March 2018. Throughout 2018, I was quite sporadic with my uploads. I didn't really have. I ended the year with 1,000 subscribers, which is really good, especially when I look back at, like, you can see people who for years it can take them to hit that 1,000 mark. I really started to find success this year, basically through Trans Stupid, where I set myself a target of like every Tuesday. So I set a day as like, as long as I get out one video a week, like I'll start building something. And I seem to my videos were doing quite well, regularly getting over 1,000 views, sometimes even in a day. But then it was the Yaniv video in end of July, which was uploaded like an hour after Blair's big video, and that one started to take off. And I was actually on holiday in Germany, like whilst that was taking off, and I'd regularly check my phone. And I was ended up like just before I went away, I had 2,800 subscribers. By the time I came back from holiday, I had about 6,500. It grew really fast, and then obviously I did the stream with Blair, and Blair did a lot of shout outs for me during that time. And you could actually see on on Social Blade the exact moments when Blair would shout me out, because it might jump up by a couple of hundred subs. I still get comments in my video saying like, "Oh, I found you after Blair like pointed me in a direction," and that's insane as well. If this time last year you told me that Blair White would be promoting my channel, like, there is no way I would have believed you. Like, I mean, that's fucking Blair White. Like, you don't get much bigger than her. Like, that for me is like one of the coolest things. And really, she's probably one of the biggest people who's instrumental to my success. But like, I'm really grateful for everything which she did. Ram Bam 3000 said, "I saw Threads at school and was white as a sheet afterwards." Yeah, it is a genuinely terrifying film. It's like, it's really, it's weird because it's like it's a slow build up for like the first half, and then like halfway through, that's when the bombs get dropped, and then you keep on thinking like, oh, this is awful, and then like a couple of minutes later, it's like, and now it gets worse, and now it gets worse. It's like, it's constantly, every time, it's like, maybe things will get better. No. Everything just gets progressively shitter as time goes on, and there's a really, really grim ending. But yeah, thoroughly terrifying film. I'm not in Lancashire. No, we were talking about Lancashire before because I thought the Camelot theme park was in Lancashire. A Newcon Sheffield would do about £10 of damage. Sheffield's not that bad. When am I going to get a cat? Gatsby the second. That was another person said, I thought Rose had a cat. So Gatsby's not mine. Gatsby belongs to my best friends, like my old housemates. And they now Gatsby doesn't even live in London anymore because they've moved away. So there is a YouTube channel. I'll just go real quick. So Proper Horror Show. This is done by my former housemates. Gatsby sometimes appears in these videos. So if you want your Gatsby updates, this is probably your best bet. So proper horror show. Give them some love anyway. Check them out. Especially if you like horror films and like horror film reviews. But yeah, you can get your Gatsby updates that way. It's really pretty cool. So I found you after the Yaniv thing when Blair shouted you out. Yeah, that was really cool. Blair blew up a ton too. Yeah, Blair blew up really bigly. Because when you think of Yaniv, Blair is the first name that kind of comes to mind. Because she was always a big channel, but like her channel has got like significantly larger with all the Yaniv stuff. Which I think is great because she exposed Yaniv to a huge audience. Like, her original video on Yaniv is like well over 1 million views at this point. Like, I was so relieved when she did the video because there was, up to that point, there was like barely anyone talking about it, especially trans people. Like I was one of the only ones. So for there to be somebody else doing it, that basically helped made Yaniv become a big name. And like it also, in a way, it helped me as well because after watching her videos, people would then come across mine. And that was so. Yeah, okay, I might have benefited from that as well, but I think it was good to just expose. Basically, Yaniv just had to be exposed to as many people as possible, and Blair was by far the best person to do that. It's crazy how we can converse with our favorite creators so freely. I've often thought of what I would ask you if I had the chance whilst watching videos. Like, I don't want you to ever think like I don't want to ever be seen as someone who's like, can't be approached or anything. I kind of get what you mean when like you really like a creator and you kind of see them as like, not so much like a celebrity, but that kind of thing. Like, I never want to be seen as someone who like is not approachable. If I don't respond to messages or anything like that, it's purely because I can be quite forgetful. It is something I'm working on, but like I'm sorry about that. But I do have an email address, which is roseofdawnuk@gmail.com. I'm trying to make more of an effort responding through that. I didn't realize you suffered from anxiety. I sympathize because I do too. Yeah, I have a quite severe anxiety disorder. In fact, I've actually been signed off work as a result of it. And it's one of the reasons why I've been having, like I mentioned, I've been having some health issues. It's basically because of like anxiety and depression. I just needed to treat it as a actual illness rather than it being, when it comes to mental health, a lot of people just seem to see it as, well, this is a, just get over it, just get better. Or it could just be a thing of hugs and solidarity, but like treat it seriously, treat it like you would treat any other illness. Like do what you can to get things better. Like I've been signed off work, but now they're kind of in a weird state where tomorrow, because I've seemed to have been accidentally signed off for much longer than I felt like I need to, I'm now going to have to fight the doctor to get allowed back into the office because I've been told I can't step foot at work without a fit to work note. So tomorrow, that's what I'm going to be spending my day doing, trying to get because I tried doing it on Friday and they didn't answer the phone, and I want to get back to the office because I do enjoy my job. I'm really looking forward to getting back to it. Watch Blair and Candace Owens on Dave Rubin. Oh, I remember that. I if you haven't already checked out the Rucka Ali rap battles, internet rap battles of history, with Blair and Candace Owens, like guys, like that was pretty good. Seeing Yaniv exposed would be the real horror show. Yeah. People talk about Jay where I need to acknowledge Going Like Elsie. Nobody would know what's going on if it wasn't for her. Yeah, absolutely. Going Like Elsie was she was actually in the vast majority, if not all, of the hearings for Yaniv. Her court basically was not so much like court transcripts, but her notes were really instrumental in getting the word out there. And she I did a stream with Hari and Gladiv and Discordia just before the Yaniv stuff blew up, where we went over a lot of the like basically all of her tweets. Like it was quite a long stream, but it's really, really funny. But yeah, I agree that people do need to acknowledge her more. She did a lot. She did an awful lot, and I believe she was the one who broke that Yaniv lost as well, if I remember rightly. But no, I absolutely agree. She does need to be acknowledged more. Do I still get on with my family? Yes, I do. I get along with them better than I ever have before transitioning. I'm attracted to this channel as a hetero. Figure that out. Okay. If I fangirl over you, you are a celebrity. Aww. It's great you're talking about mental health. Yeah, I think it's important to be open about it, but at the same time, what I don't like is when people try and use it as a crutch. Acknowledge it as a problem which you have, as like a disorder, but then you need to work on it. You need to work on getting yourself better. And if it is causing you destructive behavior, you need to acknowledge it and work on it. Like, it annoys me when I hear people say, I have anxiety, I have depression, and they just use that as a get out of jail card, because it just makes people more frustrated. And so when you hear about people who have depression and anxiety, and you've kind of dealt with these grifters in the past, it makes you kind of associate everyone under that boat, and that's not fair. Like, anxiety and depression can be incredibly debilitating, but you can work on it. And I'll be honest, like this channel and a lot of the feedback that I've been getting over the last few weeks actually really helped me whilst I was feeling down. There's another reason why I wanted to do this stream, because like that was great. Like I felt like I kind of had support here. So I want to thank you all for that. Is anyone else concerned with the amount of people who have anxiety problems these days? I think that a lot of people, I think modern life is quite stressful. When you sit back and think about it, there is a lot that is on people's plates. It doesn't surprise I think that not a lot of people really kind of talk about it all that much. And you'd be surprised with the people who do have like sort of like depression or anxiety. Just to be clear, in case anyone thinks it's not connected in any way to my gender dysphoria. It's completely separate. I've gone through therapy in the past, so I know where the roots of this comes from. Fit to work note, I'm lost or I'm too American. Basically, in the UK, if you get signed off work, that's a doctor's note saying that you're unfit to work for a set period of time. But if you need to go into work before then, you basically need to get signed back on. And so you need a fit to work note. So let's move on a bit from anxiety. You see Yaniv celebrating deplatforming another YouTuber and getting an award from Vancouver PD. So wait, Yaniv actually got an award? Like, I didn't realize Yaniv got an award. I thought Yaniv... I know that Yaniv got, I think, what was his name? Donald? I believe it's someone called Donald, a really small, or there was like another news channel as well, like really small ones, which I saw Yaniv celebrating. It was a bit weird that Yaniv went after them. I know, I'm actually kind of surprised in a way that, I'm surprised, but I'm not, in that Yaniv clearly knows who I am, because the amount of people who have tweeted my stuff at him. But we never actually interacted. But I think that it's because Yaniv doesn't really have anything to gain from interacting with me. Like, he must have known, for example, that he would embarrass himself in the Blair White debate, but because up to 1 million people were watching, that was exposure for him. I think that's why he did it, rather than to try and show that he's better than Blair, because you'd have to be an absolute moron to think that Yaniv came out of that looking better than Blair. A sensible purse on the sofa. Oh, thanks. It's actually quite a handy bag. I quite like it. No, Univ wanted. Yeah, Univ always wants awards. Univ wants awards constantly. Like, if you look this year, the amount of times he's demanding, like, oh, I've been put forward for this Vancouver award. I've been put forward for this women's award, and constant awards. Univ needs to be recognized. I want to see Null interview Univ. Like, I don't know. Like, Univ, yeah, I suppose it would be quite interesting in a way. I know Kiwi Farms have done a couple of streams about Univ in the past, and Univ got one of them shut down because it said male name in the thing. Yeah, Univ, like, it would be quite interesting to see Null talking to him, but I think at this point, as I mentioned in a previous video, it's like Univ's relevancy kind of died with the ball waxing case, and we're now at a point where it'll be if Univ is ever arrested that anything that they will ever be relevant again. I'd be very, very surprised if Univ does another kind of high-profile case, or at least if he does a high-profile case, it gets traction anywhere. Our Casey's giving over $49.99. A tip for the long stream. Thank you. You're so generous. Like, that's insane. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing. Like, thank you. UK Skin, technical question. When people have bottom surgery, do they keep the prostate? Yeah, the prostate's not touched. So I still have a prostate. Univ is working at a liquor store serving samples. That would be hilarious if true, but I wouldn't want to have a sample from Univ. I wouldn't trust it. Search Meow Mix for everything on Univ. Okay. I don't think I want to hear anything about Univ ever again. Let him drown in mediocrity and ignominy. Yeah. Yeah, Univ is, as I mentioned, like, will I ever mention Univ on my channel? Probably, like, if there is anything notable to say, but what I mean is just, like, as far as actual social relevance is concerned, Univ is gone. Doesn't JY just put his name in for stuff you can self-nominate for and make a big deal about how he was nominated? Yeah, that's what he always does. Patreon, yeah, I have a Patreon account, so I probably should have put a link in the description if people want to support me through Patreon or Subscribestar, or you can shop on my glorious merch store, which I'm just going to plug again. Like, look at all of these wonderful gifts that you can get. Like, there is a sticker, there's a tote bag, hoodie, phone case, there's like 2 different mugs, like all of this snazzy stuff, like $8.99 for a mug. You can get that for Christmas. Someone might have all this stuff for Christmas, and there's this black fitted tank top that's quite nice. There's this pinkish one. They come in different colors. Like, as I mentioned previously, I've tried to make it quite cheap, so I don't actually make a lot of money on them. But you know, I just see what you guys think, and yeah. So if you like it, please feel free to go and buy some merch of Dawn. But yeah, it would help me out, help spread the name of the channel. Like, I might have to raise the prices on it because I don't actually know how Teespring works. But for the meantime, it's all at a bargain price. So that's my plug. I probably shouldn't plug stuff like that. Like, I know it can be a bit cheeky, especially as people are giving me super chats as well. I really do appreciate it. Has Univ ever contacted me since I started videos on him? No. Univ Univ will know who I am, because though at this point there isn't a chance that he doesn't. But I think Univ recognizes that there will be no benefit in interacting with me. Like, I'm not big enough to expose his profile, but I'm not small enough for him to crush, and it would go nowhere. So I don't think that any kind of interaction between the two of us is ever going to happen. You look lovely, and I 100% support you. Aww. This is true. He works for BC liquor board stores, giving out samples. He's a government employee. Okay, that's quite funny. Univ is a narcissist, and even if he knew he couldn't beat Blair, he could not resist the exposure of a debate with her. Yeah, that's it. It was entirely about the exposure for him. Like, he wanted to. He got exposed to an audience of over 1 million people. Interesting story on that. So the time when the Blair Univ debate was scheduled in, originally that was when, I'm not sure whether any of you might remember, that was originally the same time that Blair was supposed to appear on my channel. And this is why I think Univ does know who I am, because apparently he specifically requested that date and that time. And so we had to reschedule the video, because I remember waking up that Monday morning, I had a message from Blair being like, oh, he's requested this time and he won't move it. I'm like, I think he knows. There's a bit of because in Canada, that would have been just like a random time in the afternoon. Univ does exactly have a busy schedule. So what the hell else was he going to be doing with his time? So yeah, that was, that's interesting. Mitch with £2. Has trans acceptance been worsened by the far left? Yeah, I think it has. Put it this way, even the left doesn't accept it. I'm a transsexual myself, and I want this thing put in jail for good. I hope you're talking about Univ and not me. I found you through Blair as well, and I'm glad that I did. Great. So like super chats equal Europark R and R. Yeah. So actually, I'm going to Europa Park for New Year's with a group of friends. So I will probably be using the super chat money to buy cocktails and stuff at Europa Park. Main reason I'm going over there is because a new water park is opening in a couple of weeks, and it's called Rulantica. It's going to be the largest water park in Europe, or indoor water park in Europe. It looks amazing. I'm going to be staying in Kronazar again, which is going to be awesome. And Europa Park do amazing cocktails, amazing food, amazing rides. It's going to be a great time. So yeah. Why is your cat so grumpy? Gatsby's not, as mentioned earlier, Gatsby's not mine. He's my former housemate's cat. Do you read what Gender Cynical said about you a while back? As you'd expect, they hate you. Yes, I think I did. There was someone who posted on there, I think it was about a year ago or something, calling me a turf bootlicker, and did a big thread on like all of my evil videos and stuff. And this was way before I took off. Like, I know Gender Critical doesn't like me either. A few people have shared some of their threads on me, so I know that they're not fans. Gender Cynical aren't fans either. So now I've got both extremes hating me. It kind of shows that I'm doing something right, I think. So I'm probably going to kind of start wrapping things up because I am a bit tired. Let me just read out some more things. As a right-winger, I love you. Oh, thank you. At a water park, if you're referring to the cocktails, yes, they have a swim-up bar. Is Gatsby actually binary surfer in disguise? Well, yeah, Gatsby kind of does look like binary. Yeah, they are quite similar. They're both incredibly grumpy and stubborn. So there is that. It's only 9 p.m. Yeah, but I'm tired. Like, and streaming for 2 hours and snoozing. Rose, there are gender critical people who are supportive of trans folks. Oh, there absolutely are. There absolutely are. I've chatted to quite a few. What I'm referring to is the gender critical subreddit. The gender critical subreddit doesn't like me. Not gender critical people as a whole, just this particular page on Reddit. The cat is a surfer. No, binary surfer is someone who appears on Unpopular Opinions, and he has an avatar that looks like Gatsby. Yep, so let's see. Epic stream this one. I'm really glad that you guys liked it. I was a little bit nervous about doing it because I wasn't sure how this kind of thing would go down. Like, thank you for the chat. Is pot legal in the UK? No, it's not. What do you think of Natalie Wynn deleting her Twitter? She'll come back because she left Twitter a couple of times. She'll come back. And if she doesn't, well, you know, she was getting backlash off the people who she's been sucking up to constantly anyway. Like, when is she going to learn that she's stepped out of foot too many times with them? Like, so I would love to actually chat with ContraPoints about this. Like, we can talk about, like, oh, I think that you have to have gender dysphoria. Oh, I think anyone can be any gender. But you have to at least look at the community which you fostered. Like, you fostered a community which is just filled with perpetual outrage, and they never forgive. They never forget. This is why you don't apologize to these people. They will always be angry. Nothing she ever does will be good enough for them. Even if she bends the knee to them from now until forever, they will still remember the time she appeared in a video with Buck Angel. Like, they just will. This is how they always work. I mean, like, the amount of times I've seen people in the queer community hate Lady Gaga because she said the word tranny a couple of years ago. Like, it doesn't matter everything else that she's done for, like, LGBT acceptance. She said the T word in a video, and that's you know, you cannot come back from that. Have you ever gone to a data lounge? I won't call it Pulse of the Community. I can't say that I've been to Data Lounge. No, I'm not too sure. William Blair do more content together? Yes, I'm aiming to. Blair has said that she wants to as well. Like, I'm not at the moment, don't have anything penciled in, but like, I certainly want to. I know she wants to. It's just kind of a case of catching each other with a good idea. Zib Magic, may I draw you? It's yeah. Oh my god, if you could do like fan art or anything, I love receiving fan art. Because I've seen people send me it on Twitter, and sometimes I miss it, and I feel really bad when that happens because people clearly put effort into it. If you could email it to me, that way it guarantees that I can see it. That will be the best way of me being able to see it. And then let me know if it's something you would like me to share, or if you would like it to go, if you give me the right to put it on merchandise or anything like that. I don't because I don't know how all of that works, what the proper etiquette is. But like, I receiving things like fan art is really complimentary. Like, I absolutely love it. Yeah, like, please email that to me. I love receiving that kind of stuff. Blair and Chris Hansen exposing Onion Boy was gold. I did miss that stream. Lots of people have been asking me to do videos on Onision, or more specifically on Kai. I don't know how many of my viewers watch Elise, but when I was at Duncan Sargon's event last weekend, I chatted with her and a couple of people. She was like saying that, you know, advising me, like, do a video on Onision. Like, she would help me with the research on it. So that is something which might be coming up. Like, because it is something which I want to cover, but it's finding the time to do it because I've already got so many other videos planned. But it would be interesting, not so much on Onision, but more on Kai, because Kai seems to be a bit of a douche. Architect of Fate, do you think the anti-woke tranners will vote Boris, or will they remain Lib Dem supporters? Will you ever do a stream with the Britisher on morality? So the anti-woke tranners, some of them will, yes. I know a couple who will vote for Boris. Or will the Remain Lib Dem supporters? The Remain Lib Dem supporters won't vote Boris. They're going to vote Lib Dem. Will I do a stream with the Britisher on morality? I'd be interested in doing a stream on morality with the Britisher and AA. I get both of them on to talk about it. That could be interesting. I've been meaning to get both of them on my channel, like especially because the amount of times I've been on Unpopular Opinions, and I think I've been on streams with Britisher more than anyone else. So I need to get him on my channel for that reason. Yeah, if anyone has, if anyone could put like one last question or something, I'm probably going to head for a snooze very soon. What's below the better? I don't quite know what that means. Anyway, so I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. Because I do kind of need a bit of a lie down. And I want to like thank you all for tuning in. If this is the kind of thing which you guys like, I will do more of these in the future. I just to give you a bit of a rundown on what other videos you can expect. So I've mentioned the Monroe Bergdorf Pillars of the Community. That's going to be out in the next couple of weeks. There will be a video on Trans Day of Remembrance. I have done a video on it previously. It'll be more of a similar kind of video to that. I'm not going to repeat the same points that I've already made in it, but I will want to, it'll be exposing on that because I think there's still a bit more to say on it. I will also be making a Christmas special video, which I've been planning for a while because I love Christmas, so I want to do a Christmas special. And there are one or two other videos. There's a couple more videos that I have in the pipeline as well, and none of that includes Trend Stupid, which I'm aiming to have coming out every week, although there won't be one on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, as I'm going to be preoccupied during that time. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm aiming for Trans Stupid to be out on Tuesday, so look forward to that. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. You can also support me on Patreon and Subscribestar. So thank you all. Thank you all again. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so yeah, thank you. Bye. Yeah, press